Hello, this is Zamanzadeh from ZZNetworking.com. Why don't you go ahead and go to your SQL command screen, and when you do that, type in select asterisk, which is all columns, from the practice table. In this tutorial, we'll be discussing update. But before we get to that, I'd like to remind you about the importance of putting in a primary key for your table. To do this, once you have your table in front of you, look at the rows and columns. You're going to notice that in the ID column, we have a value of 100 for the first row, 200 for the second row, 300 for the third row, and 400 for the fourth row. Why don't you go ahead now and type in DESC, which is describe, the table name, which is practice, hit Control Enter. Now look carefully for the ID column. You're going to see that under the primary key section there is a 1 there, meaning that the ID column is our primary key for this table. Now, what that ensures is that you're going to have a unique value in that column for each row. To demonstrate this, why don't we go back to our table, select all values from practice, and suppose we decide we want to insert another row in. And we say insert into practice, which is our table, values. Let's give an ID value of 400. First name, make it Tom. Last name, we'll make it Smith. State will be California. The salary will be $10,000. Close the parentheses. Now, notice before we execute this that in the ID column, the last row already has a value of 400. And here we're trying to insert a new row with a duplicate value of 400 for the ID column. Hit Control Enter. In the bottom pane, we get an Oracle error message. ORA-401, it says unique constraint violated. What that means is we tried to insert a duplicate value for the ID column, in particular 400. So now why don't we go back and type select all columns from practice. What's important about this to remember is when you're updating and you only want to update one row at a time, it's a good practice to use the primary key column because you're ensured to have only one value. Now, many times when we update table information, we might have to update multiple columns at a time and not use this. But if we only want to update one column at a time, the primary key is a good column to use. Now, how do we update a table? Suppose when for record number 300, the woman known as Sandy Smith was actually put in by accident, that her first name was not actually Sandy, it was Cindy, and the person who entered that data made a mistake. How do we fix this mistake? Well, simple. We say update our table name, which is practice, set F_name, which is the first name, equal to Cindy in single quotes. Now, before we execute this, we have to tell Oracle where we want to do this, because we don't want to update every first name to Cindy. So we type where ID equals to 300. We execute this, and it says one row has been updated. Well, let's take a look now. Go ahead, hit enter a few times, and just type select asterisk all columns from the practice table. Highlight this portion now and execute it. Look down in the bottom pane and you'll notice that for ID 300, the first name is now Cindy as opposed to Sandy. So now we've corrected this error. Suppose we want to update different information from our table. Suppose John Anderson has just been given a raise of $1,000. How do we do this? Well, we could say update our table name, which is practice, set salary equal to salary plus, which is the plus sign is right above the equal sign, so if you hold down shift and that key on your keyboard, it'll give you a plus sign, plus 1,000, because we're giving them a raise of $1,000, where ID equals to, in single quotes, 100. And this command should give John Anderson a salary of $41,700.50. Control Enter. One row has been updated. Let's go ahead and select all columns from the practice table. Remember to highlight it, and then hit Control Enter, and we'll notice that now his salary is $41,700.50 for the first row in our table. Now, let's suppose that Lily Lee decides that she wants to move to California, or she's been relocated. How do we do this? Well, we say update state practice, our table, update our table practice, set state equal to, in single quotes, CA, California, where ID equals 400. One row has been updated. Now, we can update multiple rows at a time. Let's go ahead and look at our whole table, select all from practice. The way to update multiple rows at a time is obviously by using a different column in our where clause. Suppose we shut down our company's location in Arizona. Suppose we decide that we want all our employees to live in California now, and both Bob and Cindy Smith decide to move to California. So their state now is going to be California and not Arizona. What we could say is update practice, which is our table, set state equal to CA, in single quotes, where, well, actually for this we don't even need a where clause, because when we say simply update the table, set a column equal to something, we don't need to put a specification unless there is a specification. Since all of our employees are going to be in California, we want the state to be California for everybody, so we don't put a where clause in this situation. We simply execute the command, and we see that 4 rows have been updated. Select all from practice, highlight the text, and there we go. All of the state values are now California. Now this is good and bad in two different ways. For our example, where all our employees, we want them to live in California, and they all agreed to move to California, updating without a where clause makes sense. However, it could be bad, because suppose we said update practice set last name, L_name, equal to Smith. And let's just suppose the coder forgot to use the where clause. We update 4 rows. We select everything from our table. And now everybody's last name is Smith. So that's the thing you have to be careful of when you're updating tables. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.